No, she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding.
Hey Ryan. Hey guys. Welcome back to the channel. I've just stuffed my face with Burger King. I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear me, because I tried to do the microphones, but excuse me, I'm really not a fan of microphones, to be honest, because the sound is just very muffled. I need to invest in some better ones, but they're like £200, and I don't have that spare money to spend right now, so you're just going to have to put up with this. I'll try and fix the sound if it doesn't sound that well, but anyway. I've just had Burger King, as you can tell. And I'm probably thinking, what is this vlog? Why are you sitting there? Although you wouldn't think that actually, because it will literally tell you on the title of the video what this is. But I'm doing a Q&A. A little Q&A. I sometimes put these on like my Instagram. If you don't follow my Instagram, you won't know that. But I'm doing a little Q&A for you guys. A little update on the horses. This is something that's been requested, which I don't really understand because I don't really enjoy these videos, but I'm doing it for you guys. So I have a list of questions that you guys asked over on my Instagram, and I'm just going to go through them and answer them for you guys. Some of them are about the horses, like the particular horses, some of them are just about plans for this year. So yeah, let's get started. So, first question I've got is, why was Ryan on box rest? So, if you've been following my YouTube for a while, you'll know Ryan, I bogey, because he used to run the channel quite a lot back in 2021, 2021, like about COVID years. He used to be my competition horse alongside Brian. Ryan is 10 this year, believe it or not, which feels absolutely crazy. It's gone by so quickly. And we got Ryan as a 4-year-old. So Ryan, there's been a lot of problems we've had with Ryan. I will link down below the video I did where I explained everything that had gone on with Ryan and stuff like that, because I did a specific video just on him a while back, for like his original injury and stuff like that. But Ryan went back into the vets just over 3 months ago now to have a reassessment, because it was kind of make or break with him. He was still lame. I tried to bring him back into work, like without seeing a vet or anything like that. You know, he had about another year off, and I thought I'll try and bring him back into work again. Like my physio said to me, just, you know, start long reining him, doing some groundwork with him, and see how he gets on. So I did that. Didn't even get to sit on him, and he just wasn't right. Still lame in front. So, hey boy. So I thought I'd try one more time with the vets. We took him to David. We took him to David Sinclair, and we kind of literally went through absolutely everything with him, and we did some nerve blocks first of all to find out where, I know Ryan, that plane is really selfish, to find out where the lameness was coming from. And it was still in his feet, because I was kind of leaning toward maybe it being in his neck or back, because a lot of like neck or back pathologies can cause lameness in their limbs. So I was leaning more towards that, because we treated his feet and his legs many times, and nothing ever lasted more than 6 to 8 weeks. So I was leaning more towards that, but unfortunately he did block out to his feet, like below the pastern, which was frustrating, as I hoped that it would be something else. Hey Ryan. So we did some x-rays of his feet, and we didn't find any, oh hey, in the feet x-rays it kind of goes up to the pastern and fetlock. You can see the pastern and fetlock in the feet x-rays, and there was no like arthritic changes really. Like he had like one little mark on one of his x-rays, but literally like the smallest little arthritic change you would ever like imagine, like nothing that would cause lameness. And his feet x-rays were like, his feet are always flat, he's very broken backed in his feet, but nothing really majorly come up. But obviously he did have an MRI scan back in when he was like 6, which I'll explain in the other video if you watch that one. And in that MRI, there was a tiny little tear in one of his deep digital flexor tendon in one of his feet. I can't remember which one it was now. So David basically said that because we never box rested him for that little tear, because we were never told to by the vets. He said the only thing that I can recommend you trying is to box rest him. He said you've never box rested him, and for foot injuries, box rest is the best thing. So he said I recommend box resting him for 3 months, and then we'll go from there. You know, if he gets better, then good. If he doesn't, he's still lame, then obviously we know there's something else going on. And unfortunately, he's not covered by the insurance anymore. So I can't afford to have another MRI scan done on him. So yeah, that was the plan. That is why I was on box rest. We box rested him. The 3 months is now up. But we'll go on to that in the next question. So that is why he was box rested. So the next question is, what are your plans of Ryan? Do you think he'll compete again? So my plans of Ryan are, there isn't any plan, to be honest. He is going to slowly be brought back out. He's currently doing 10 minutes hand walking a day, hand walk, hand graze, because he's got to have his front shoes put back on. So the angles of his feet right now aren't great. So David doesn't want him doing too much until he's had his front shoes put back on. So that's the plan. He's going to have his front shoes put back on, and then he's going to slowly be introduced to going back out in the field, like in a little pen. I've got some sedation for that, because if you watch my video, you'll see that he's a little bit sharp. So yeah, he'll slowly start going back out in the pen, and then he said within the next month, like once the month's up, then I can start hacking him under saddle. So that's exciting. Just in walk though, obviously. And then once kind of I've started hacking him under saddle, we'll then have a chat about what to do thereafter. I'll probably have him back out to reassess him again to see if he's still doing well, and then we'll go from there. To be honest, Ryan has been just so frustrating for us. Like, it's been so tough. We just have not been able to keep him sound, and this is kind of the last thing that we haven't tried, is the box rest. So if this doesn't work, I'm not really sure where we're going to go, but fingers crossed for a miracle, and keep your fingers crossed for me, please. So yeah, that is the plan. I don't know whether he'll ever compete again. I'm definitely not going to be in any rush if he does stay sound to get him back out again. I'm going to take things really slowly, try and build back up his strength, and maybe take him to like the water treadmill again, before we start even thinking about jumping a jump, if we can get that far. But yeah, that is the plan with Ryan. Next question is, anyway, any big shows to qualify for in 2025? Obviously with Mary, because she's the only one I'm jumping. Honestly, no. This year I'm really taking the pressure off myself. I've always been someone that makes so many plans and has so many different shows I want to qualify for and jump at during the year, and I always have so many aims that actually this year I've just decided to take a step back and actually just enjoy myself and enjoy my time with my horse. I'm not chasing any Hoyas qualifiers this year. I'm not going to chase second round. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I have a couple of the Bronze League qualifiers that are in the area, just day shows that I can just pop to, no pressure. And you know, if we qualify, we qualify. If we don't, I really don't mind. Same with second rounds. If I can qualify for the Discovery second rounds, I'll do the second rounds at a day show travel distance, but I'm not going to travel away to do any of them. And yeah, no, I'm trying to just enjoy myself and just get her back going this year and get her confidence back up. I mean, she is very confident, but just get her back to where we were, and get the rideability right is mainly my aim for this year. So, next one is any stairway show plans. So, kind of the same, but not. That's my eye. So stairway show plans, I haven't actually gone through this properly yet, which is bad because usually like at the end of the year before I'm on it. But I would like to do Wales and West this year, which is the David Broomers Event Centre. I'd like to do Welsh Masters, as we haven't qualified for Blue Chip this year. So, well, I haven't really chased it. I've been really lazy, but I did a couple of them and we didn't qualify. So I'm just not going to bother this year. So I think we're going to go Welsh Masters, which is on the same week as Blue Chip. I'd like to definitely do that one. I'd like to do Chepstow International, which is also at Wales, at least once this year. There's two. There's one on May and then there's one on in August, but August always runs along the same time as Hicks did. So I'll probably do, if I can, I'll do the May one. I haven't quite decided yet. Maybe that. I definitely want to do the Hicks shows, whether I stay or not, I'm not sure, but I definitely want to do the June, July and September, August, September Hicks again. I absolutely love them. They're my favourite shows of the year. And I'm not really sure in between, to be honest. I did kind of have Bolesworth on my radar again, but it's just so expensive, and you know, I don't think she'll be ready to do it this year, like competitively. I think next year will probably be better for her. What are you doing? But yeah, nothing. I'm quite like, other than big stairway shows, I'm not really that on it with stairways. I kind of just plan them as I go. I think I want to do one of the Bury Farm ones at the beginning of this year, maybe the bareback one. But the weather here has been so awful that I've literally barely been able to do anything. So it just depends on whether she's fit enough to go. Get off, Ryan. So yeah, that's that. Next one is, how is Brian doing in retirement? Are you still doing anything with him? Like, are you still hacking him? And Brian is actually doing really well in retirement. I thought that he was going to struggle with it because sometimes he can go crazy in the field and he gets really unsettled and he doesn't like staying out. Like, he's always calling to come back in. But he's taken to it like a duck to water, honestly. We introduced him to going back out on my sister's horse, Ronnie, as all of mine are turned out individually here. It's just for their own safety, you know. I don't need them playing and injuring themselves. They injure themselves as it is. Get off. So we introduced him to go back out on Ronnie, and them two they just love each other. Brian is the boss of the field and he does tell Ronnie off, but since going out with Ronnie, he has settled so much better in the field, like so much less running around and being an idiot. Like, they're in a massive field between them, like they're in two fields now, like made into one, whereas we usually have them not that small, but they're quite small. And he's been an absolute angel. Like, he's really enjoying retirement. No, I'm not hacking him. Our hacking around here isn't great, so I'm not bothering. It's literally only roads. If we had nice, you know, field hacking and farmers field and stuff like that, or woodlands, I would still hack him, as he loves doing that hacking. But he just doesn't really care for going out on the roads, and I just don't see the point. I only hack them if they're in work, just to do something different, you know, otherwise I honestly wouldn't bother. So yeah, no, I'm not doing anything with him. He's fully retired, he's 20 this year, he deserves a long, happy retirement, and I'm really loving watching him enjoy his retirement. So next question is, will you be getting another horse? No, guys, I get this question all the time, and no, I will not be getting another horse anytime soon. I don't have any spare stables, for starters. We have 4 stables and we have 4 horses. We have Ronnie and Brian, who are both retired, Mary, who's obviously in work, and Ryan, who's the troublemaker behind me. So no, I will not be getting another horse. I don't have the stable to get another horse, and I don't have the funds to get another horse. I struggle to pay for these 3 as it is. You know, anyone that owns their horses will know how expensive it is to own a horse. Like, everything's gone up in price, and I'm honestly struggling as it is. So no, there will not be another horse in the cards unless one of them goes for whatever reason, which is not going to happen anytime soon. There will not be another horse, I'm sorry. I wish I could get another horse, and if I had spare stables and enough funds to get another horse, I would totally have another one. But no is the answer. After jump care routine for the horses. So I am very aware of making sure you're looking after their legs. You know, every horse only has so many jumps in them, and it's always good to make sure that you're doing your best to avoid any injuries or strains. So if I'm just jumping them at home and they're just doing like a low level jump session, you know, nothing that strenuous, I will usually just wash the legs down afterwards and ice gel them. I have the NAF ice gel, like ice cool gel. It's like a light bluey colour, and I'll just kind of rub that down from knee to pastern or from hock to pastern. But if I'm doing a more intense jump session or I'm at a show, then I usually ice boot them. I have the Lemieux ice boots. I'm not sure which ones they are. They're the ones with the 4 straps around them, because they're quite long and they go from the top of the knee down to the pastern, which is what I like about them, is they cover a lot more areas than most ice boots do, and they're pretty affordable. I think they're around 60 to 70 pounds for a pair, whereas some ice boots you're paying over £100 for a pair. So I really like them, and I'll always ice the legs for about 15 minutes after I jump them. Yeah, I always make sure as well to wash the legs down and dry them afterwards with towels to avoid any, you know, like mud fever or cellulitis and stuff like that. You don't want to leave their legs wet. So yeah, that is my aftercare routine for the horses if I'm jumping them. Yes. Turnout boot recommendations, or like mud fever boot recommendations. So turnout boots for the horses. Brian only has overreach boots at the moment. He has like the Lemieux rubber ones with the furry bit around the top, because he can get quite like he can get rubs on his legs, so the furry bit is just to stop the boot from rubbing. Obviously he's retired, so I'm not bothered about putting boots on him. He's got really hairy legs, so he can protect himself. Mary wears currently the EQUESTRIAN brushing boots. Get off. They are like a mesh material, but like they still protect their legs, which I really like, as I'm a bit funny about turnout boots, as I get worried about their legs overheating. But she has those on in front and behind. I'll put a photo of them up here so you can see which ones I'm talking about. And again, they're not overly that expensive, and they're great for the summer, as again they don't heat their legs up. And then she has the same overreach boots on. Actually no, she doesn't. She has the Armour ones on, ARMA, because they're really affordable. They're like, I think they're about £10. They're around £10, and again they just have the rubber bit on the bottom, and then they have the furry bit on top to stop them from rubbing. So that's what she wears out in the field. And then Ryan obviously doesn't go out in the field, but when he does, he has the same overreach boots on, and then he'll have the same brushing boots on. Thankfully for me, my horses don't get mud fever, because our fields are so well drained, and they're honestly, I'm so grateful for it. They don't get muddy, so ours literally never, touch wood, never get mud fever. So unfortunately I can't really recommend mud fever boots, but I know there are some great mud fever boots on the Red Post Equestrian website. So if you go on there, they have got loads of mud fever boots, because I did actually have a nosy at them the other day when I was just going through all their turnout boots. So yeah, have a look at those, or maybe like put something on BSJ or something, and I'm sure people will be able to recommend some for you. Another question is, how did you know it was the right time for Brian to retire? My horse is getting older and I don't know how I can tell. So I think every horse is an individual, so everyone's different. For Brian, he had a check ligament injury back in June last year, and although it healed pretty quickly, like on the scans and stuff it was healed, he just didn't come back right afterwards. I just didn't feel, he wasn't necessarily lame, but he just didn't feel like himself. He wasn't as happy in work, and although I could have done more, having a roll behind me. What are you doing? So he's comfortable around me, can't you? Hey? Hello? Anyway, carry on. Although I could have carried on pushing for an answer and had, you know, the vet out to... Ryan! What are you doing? Although I could have done more investigations and stuff with him, I just decided that, you know, there was no point. He was going to be 20 this year, and I just thought, I think this is, I just had it in my gut that he was telling me that, like, it's okay and that he was done. And I just, it didn't feel right to keep pushing him, you know. I think you know, and I think they tell you when they're not happy anymore, you know, when they start to not feel like they're enjoying it as much, or like if their body starts to slowly give up on them. I think that's really important that you listen to that. So yeah, I think you'll know. It's very clear. It was very clear for me that he was ready, and he's definitely shown me he was ready, because he, you know, he twats about in the field, he bucks and he bronks and he squeals and he has the best time, and he looks so happy and comfortable out in the field that I just knew that that was kind of his time. And I'm really glad I made the decision. You know, in the moment it was really tough, and I really missed riding him for the first couple of months, but now it's kind of become the norm. It feels right, and I'm happy that I did it. So the next question is, what do I do for work? I get this a lot. So I work for my dad. I used to groom. I groomed for quite a while for like a show jumper that was local to me, which is why I went to Spain with Mary, as I went with my boss. But then when I come back from Spain, I kind of realised that it wasn't something that I wanted to do long term, and I was really struggling with keeping the motivation of doing my own horses alongside, you know, looking after someone else's. I can see the dogs. So yeah, I changed over. My dad offered me a job at his. He runs a building company. He has his own building company. So I went and worked for him, and I was doing some labouring, you know, helping clear up, helping doing gardening, like helping painting. I was doing all that for ages. Now I mainly help with the painting. I quite enjoy it. I mean, sometimes it gets a bit boring, but that is what I'm doing at the moment. And then I'm going to also start helping in the office as well, as they need me back in the office to help do more. So I'll probably go between those two things. And also I help run their social media as well. So that is what I do. I mean, obviously it really helps me working for my dad, because I get time off for the shows, which I'm really, really grateful for. As if I did a normal 9 till 5 and, you know, I had the normal 20, whatever it is, days off a year, I would really struggle to do what I do. So yeah, I'm very grateful, and it definitely works for me. So another one is, well, the last question is, how do you keep Ryan occupied / calm whilst on box rest? So this was something that I was concerned about when he first went on box rest, as obviously he's never been on box rest, and because our fields are so well drained, they go out nearly every single day of the year, at least for a couple of hours. So I was quite worried about how he would be, but honestly he has settled into it so well. He did settle into it so well. The first like week or so, he definitely wasn't happy when they first would go out in the morning. He'd have like a buck and a bronc around the stable, and it was a bit like, oh god. But I just made sure I gave him loads of stuff to keep him occupied. Like he was getting grass nets, like, you know, the little mini hay nets, like the grass block nets. He was having those filled with grass once or twice a day. He was getting lickets. I'd get him the granola lickets, because obviously they last longer. He got the licket board and buster, where you put the two little lickets either side. He had that to keep him occupied. He'd get treat balls. He had a hay ball. He had teddy bears hanging in the stable, which you can see up here. Like, he had loads of different things to keep him occupied, and thankfully it really did work, as he settled into it so well. And after like a couple of weeks, he really never got unsettled when they went out. I mean, thankfully he's quite a chilled horse anyway in the stable, which you wouldn't think, because when he's outside of the stable in the arena, he's a nut job. But yeah, no, he settled into it really well. And they were also some of the recommendations I got off of you guys as well, so thank you for that. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I'm going to see if I've got any new questions whilst I've been filming. Let's have a look at this. So, okay, well, I've got 2 more questions. Let's do these 2 more questions, and I'll leave it. So, one of the new questions is, what are all the horses fed? So, I've literally just filmed earlier a little afternoon with me type vlog, and I went through what they fed there, but obviously not on YouTube. So, they have actually on more of a newer feed routine. So I used to be on Saracen's horse feeds, but I just found that they were just going a little bit loopy, and also just, thought that they didn't need it. Like, my horses are quite naturally fit, you know, they're well covered, they're well muscled, so they don't really lack anything. So I didn't really feel like I needed to give them all these nutrients and stuff when they're fine without them. I get them through the supplements, through the hay anyway. So I just decided to try them on something a bit more simple to see what they see, you know, if anything changed, or and then if it did and if they got kind of worse, I would then move them back onto them again. So, but no, honestly, they've been great on what they're on currently. So they get the Thunderbrooks Healthy Herbal Chaff. Sorry, excuse me. They get Thunderbrooks Healthy Herbal Chaff. Mary also gets the Denji Performance Fibre Chaff. She gets a mix between the two. And they do great on that. And then all three of them, so Brian, Ryan and Mary, all get the Denji grass pellets. They don't have them soaked because you can feed them either way. But they get those, which give them all the nutrient stuff from the grass. And they absolutely love them. And they're so easy to feed. They don't heat them up or anything like that. And yeah, they love them. So, especially in the winter, they're great. And then they also just get a handful of pony nuts each, just to bulk their feed out. You know, it's cheap and it's cheerful, and you know they do really well on it. And then they get obviously their supplements from Feedmark on top of that, which help just to balance anything out, and you know, to give them the nutrients they need. Like, they're on their gut supplements, they're on the joint supplements. Ryan's on a Karma now, Mary's on a hormonal supplement, she's also on a muscle supplement, they're on biotin for their feet. So if they're lacking anything from their feeds, they're getting it through the supplements anyway. So yeah, that is what they're on feed wise. And then hay wise, they're on just normal hay from our farmer down the hill. But I've also started recently, when the last 6 weeks ago, I think now they started it. They started getting haylage from Hartsland Haylage. If you're based in, you know, Kent area, make sure to check them out on Facebook to see if they cover your area. Simon is great and he's so helpful, and honestly the haylage is lush. Like, some haylage is a bit funny or can send them a bit crazy, but they're on a mix between ryegrass and timothy, and I think also meadow. But they've been doing great on it. Like, they all have really sensitive tummies. Sorry. So haylage they can be a bit funny on. So I kind of never really like to feed it all the time. But they've honestly done great on it. Like, I'm shocked. Their tummies never, you know, they never got loose in their poo. Their personalities haven't changed. So honestly, I'm really impressed. So they're also on that. So they're on a mix. Mary's moving gradually onto all haylage, and the boys. Well, Brian gets half and half, and Ryan just gets a little handful just to keep him happy. But before my camera dies, because it's saying it's about to die, the last one is, what's your weekly routine look like with Mary? So Mary gets ridden about 5-6 days a week normally. Obviously at the moment she's not, because the weather's awful and everything's frozen. But she'll do every other week. She goes to the treadmill once a week. She'll have a lunge day. She'll have 2 hacking days. Like, mainly I definitely try to do 2 hacking days in the summer. In the winter sometimes it's just 1. She'll flat once or twice a week, and then I'll jump her once a week, roughly. You know, I kind of mix it up each week. I have a little schedule I put on my phone, and I'll put down on my phone what I'm doing each day for the next following week, so I kind of know what I'm doing with her. Obviously this last week has been a bit of a mess. She hasn't done all that much. I'm going to take her for a hack this afternoon because the roads have defrosted, thankfully. But yeah, I just make sure I keep it, you know, very entertained for her. I make sure when I'm flatting I do different pole work exercises to keep her brain occupied. I make sure I hack her as much as I can. Sometimes I'll do a lunge day as well. I don't always like lunging, as I just find that they work better under saddle. But if I'm feeling, you know, like she needs a lunge, or whether, you know, if the ground's a bit hard, I'll do some long reining over poles and stuff like that, not on her. But yeah, I always make sure to keep it nice and varied for them, and I definitely think everyone should do the same. I mean, at the moment she's not really jumping all that much over the winter period, where I'm not being able to have a consistent routine with her. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. you know, hearing a little bit more about what my plans are with the horses and kind of the update of them all. I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A, and hopefully next week I'll have a bit more of an active video for you all. You know, I think the weather's coming up next week, so fingers crossed I can actually get riding again. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon.
No, she got the good vibes when seasons change.